I get this question constantly. Phil, is it actually possible to break into tech in under 6 months? Or are you just telling people false hope? I get the skepticism. The internet is full of people promising unrealistic timelines and overnight success stories that don't add up when you dig deeper. But today, I want to show you something real. This is Jay. I started mentoring him on February 24th with zero coding background. Just a sales guy who was tired of his situation. By mid-June, he had multiple job offers and landed his dream role as a software engineer. That's roughly 135 days. And before you think, oh, he must be some genius or had some special advantage, Jay started from absolute scratch. No CS degree, no technical background, just a regular guy who was ready to make a change. I'm going to let Jay tell you his story himself because I think it's going to destroy some of the biggest limiting beliefs that are probably holding you back right now. So, Jay, how are you? Glad to have you here.
Going on, man? Very happy to be here. Appreciate you letting me be here, man. Just to kind of jump right into it. Came here with zero experience, zero coding background, knew nothing for nothing, didn't know even how to set up a VS Code. So essentially, after, working with you guys, going through a lot of the systems, really showing to a lot of the classes, doing a lot of deep diving myself, I was able to understand a lot better and really know how to structure, understand JavaScript, structure how an app's supposed to be made, how to go about, React, things of that nature. To now I understand how to look at a code base and know where to essentially start from and reverse engineer to say, okay, I know what this is doing, I know what that is doing. And now I feel a lot more comfortable with creating, coming up with my own ideas and basically cultivating my own, apps, basically bringing ideas into reality. Something that helped you and Vinny and really the whole team helped me out like a lot to really understand. Yeah, it's been a great journey.
Dude, I'm happy for you. All right, so let's get started. Jay, let's start with where you are now versus where you were. You joined in February. What's changed?
So, joined in February, I had zero experience. And just to give a little more of a prefix, I have not jumped into any JavaScript at all. I knew a very little bit of HTML, knew a very little bit of CSS. Me and CSS had have a love-hate relationship. I'm sure everyone's like that. But yeah, no JavaScript experience starting in February. Didn't know that was basically it. Knew nothing else from that point till now I know just about all the methods from JavaScript, from I mean .length, and the list just goes on and on,
Right.
to understanding how to set up a Python environment, to know how to connect APIs, set up APIs, create my own APIs, different endpoints, so on and so forth. So pretty extensive journey. I mean, massive growth. Something that I didn't even seen really could see myself.
Awesome. Awesome to hear because I really like that you brought up like the Python development, and you see like which technologies are better for which kind of tasks and stuff like that. That's awesome. So I will move on to question two. Take us back to February. What was your day-to-day like before all this?
All right. So just to make it kind of clear, my day to day is normally pretty hectic than a lot of other people. I tend to work very hard. I was working two sales jobs, really sales like heavy SDR jobs and doing CR development, things of that nature. I mean, I was working about probably around 12, 13-hour days
Wow.
in February to now still somewhere around that same time. I like to work. I work, that's what I do. But it's a lot more intuitive. I can now understand how to create different tools to offload a lot of the work that normally takes me hours to get through. I mean, we're talking research, we're talking the lead enrichment for my sales guys out there. All that stuff. Now I can really offload all that work for AI. I have an app that can do it, it's a research tool, whichever it may be.
Mhm.
And I can go focus on the main things that actually matter, which is talking to customers, the real RGAs, revenue generating activities.
So that segues into the next question. You came here from a sales background. Had you ever coded before, or was this completely new territory?
Completely new territory. I mean, man, I was. I jumped into the deep end. I started swimming with sharks.
Okay.
Yeah, it was scary.
Yeah, I remember, I remember when we were setting up your MacBook, you had like two editors open. We were like, hey, you're saving on one. Why is it not saving the file? Remember that?
Yeah, dude, it was crazy. And at that time, I didn't fully even understand what you were doing. I'm like, this dude's doing magic. Like, I'd never seen this before. And then once I kept seeing it and I went deeper myself, I was like, oh man, I can do this.
For
It's
sure.
not that bad. Like, wow, this is awesome.
It's just editing text in the end. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So question four, what made you decide to actually pull the trigger? I imagine you had some doubts.
It did. Really good question as well, by the way. What really made me pull the trigger was I just don't let when my mind is set on something, it's not much to deter me. I am the one of the kind of person that's like, what's the worst that can happen? And in my case, the worst that was gonna happen was it's just I wasn't going to do this. I was never going to learn this. I was never going to do it. That was it. That was my worst that could happen. So I wasn't worried about, is this program, that's going to work, or is this something I'm going to understand? Or I wasn't necessarily worried about that. It was really, am I going to do something I told myself that I was going to do and actually follow through to the end, no matter the result? So that's what really got me to really pull that trigger. It didn't take me, I'm a kind of a quick guy. It didn't take me too much to say, let's do this thing.
Oh, for sure, for sure. You could have chosen a boot camp, YouTube tutorials, any number of paths. What drew you to this approach?
So just to kind of give you a little more, not too much of a story, but I did do a boot camp. The
Okay.
boot camp, unfortunately, was not my way of learning. I am more of a intuitive person who likes to do, here, Jay, where you're talking to me. If I have a specific question, I can get that question answered, and I don't feel bombarded or rushed. And one of the main things is throwing me into the deep end. Coming from sales, we used to knock doors. I'm not going to learn about a door until I go knock a door. I'm not going to learn how to code something until I code it myself and run into my own errors and hiccups. So and that's something that I've got here to and through and was able to get a walkthrough and understanding on how to move through those challenges and work through those challenges and get to the other side so I can use those skills moving forward is something that I really, really did like over here.
All right, for sure, for sure. So, walk me through those first few weeks. How did you know you were on the right track?
When I actually started jumping, when I went back, this is when I really knew when I was going through the walk and I was doing CSS and I thought I went on a tangent because I was trying to understand wrappers, how to do containers and things of that nature, which took me down a very deep rabbit hole. And I thought I knew almost everything about CSS. Well, boy, was I wrong. When I went through the course and I seen things about like pseudo effects and things of that nature, I was like, huh? Why haven't I seen this? And that's when I knew when I started learning new things from things that I thought I already knew, I knew for sure I was, on the right track, learning from the right person, which really kind of hooked me in and wanted me to go further, deeper, and take a deeper dive on a lot of these different concepts. So that's when I really knew, okay, this is it. It's not like everything else that I normally see or hear about CSS or HTML or JavaScript. This is different.
For sure. And then, those unknowns and learning new things like drive you and give you more motivation, I think, right? Learning to code while working full time, that had to be brutal. How did you actually stick with it?
So, and I'd like to be very honest. Let's be honest here. We can't, there's only 24 hours in a day. Sometimes I like to think there's 25. But I dropped everything. I'm gonna be honest. I took a major risk, and I'm not, obviously you do what you can. But once again, depending on how important this is for you, you got to make a jump on something. So I dropped both jobs. I dropped both of them, and I decided to put all of my time into learning this skill and cultivating this skill, which was risky, very risky. Making clear, not a lot of money was coming in, but I did have money stacked up just because I did work super hard because I understood that I was to some extent making this jump to say, you know what, if I sit here and sit in front of this computer and I make it happen, I know I can actually I'll be okay and I can make something of this.
For sure. And love the drive. And, knowing you, I always saw you in like voice channels. You were very consistent, you know? So I think that was very helpful for you. That brings me to my next question. Were there days you just didn't want to do it? What kept you going?
Yes, there were definitely days that I did not want to code. Just like days I didn't want to either knock doors, pick up the phone, talk to people. We all have those days, right? But what really kept me going was I'm looking at the end result. Like, why am I here? Why am I doing this? I don't want to call it sound either cliche or whichever, but really understand what is the point of this. What is the goal I'm trying to get to? What am I trying to accomplish? Okay, once I revise that and I say, okay, this is what I'm looking to do with this skill, that tells me all I need to do is step one, two, and three. And from there, that's what got me back into the loop. And I said, okay, cool. Now I just got to finish up on this JavaScript, maybe do a little bit of code wars. Cool. Now I understand this concept. Now we got to move over to the next concept and keep. I just treated it like a video game, from a start to a finish line race. That really helped kept me going on those days where I just did not want to code.
For sure,
And yeah, yeah, basically.
for sure. And you did have like Manny hitting you up to code together too, right?
Yeah, we will always hit each other up. Yes, I do want to speak on that. Having they call them accountability buddies. I have always had a accountability buddy when, working sales. I always hold someone accountable. Someone holds me accountable. And I used to wrestle, iron sharpens iron. So I very bluntly told Manny he's going to be my accountability buddy. He didn't really have too much of a choice. And yeah, from there, that's just kind of how it happened. When I didn't want to code, he was there saying, "Hey, bro, let's do it." Really encouraging me when he didn't want to code. Likewise, we would always pull each other's leg to when we were struggling with concepts to help each other understand and learn these different types of concepts, treat it like a game to say, hey, where are you at with this? I'm already done with example JavaScript and I'm moving into React where you're at, so always trying to hold each other accountable, treating it like a race, treating it like a game. I just want to do give a massive shout out to him because that guy's awesome. Love that guy. And I do appreciate, him. Obviously, feel yourself, many when you guys can. And anybody in the rest of the team when, even if me and him didn't have the answers, you guys were always there to say, hey, look at it from this point of view, look at it from this way, so that I can understand a lot better.
So, what was different about this compared to other times you've tried to learn something new?
That's a really good question. Because I'm going to look at that when I learned government contracting, and I had to take this very, very similar approach to learning government contracting from never understanding it to now. Not going to say I'm a master, but I understand a lot about the industry and things of that nature. It wasn't too much of a different approach, to be very honest. From at least my point of view. I worked really hard. I spent a lot of time on it, made sure that just about if I could pick up every single rock, I tried. There's a
Mhm.
lot of rocks, guys. There's a lot of rocks. But that I definitely it wasn't too much of a difference. I would say though, with the teaching in that aspect was very different because with everyone's different teaching style, definitely hit on a point to where, okay, well maybe I may be lacking over here, but I can pick it up over here just because it was explained a little bit differently. Maybe this concept wasn't explained the best over here, but I can probably understand it more over here just because once again it was explained a little bit differently. It was a different point that I didn't fully understand. So I would say that was one of the biggest difference. But from my perspective of me, I still put in the work. I put in the hours. I stayed up late nights, always in the chats, and just making it happen. So not too much of a difference there, but that is how it was different.
For sure. And also, like, if you're trying to pick up every rock, you fail once, but you have to learn from your failures and keep on moving on, and go move.
Exactly.
All right, so next question. Some people watching might think, well, Jay must be naturally good at this stuff. What would you tell them?
That's hilarious. No, I'm not naturally good. In order to become confident, you need to become competent. And that's anything. I'm a human. Eat crap, breathe just like you. I bleed red. I'm not special by any given means. Anything I want to get good at, I have to do it probably for me 10,000 times, probably 15. on a good measure. But yeah, no, in order for you to have really good confidence in, let's say, software is software engineering, you need to be competent and really understand. I just can't talk about this enough. Let's really bring back competence. AI is great. These doing all these other things are great, but in order for you to say, "Hey, I feel that I know what I'm doing," you got to know what you're doing. That's the thing about that. So, I say really understand what you're doing, understand what code you're writing, how to read it, really know what you're reading, where you are, how to read your code from top to bottom. So it's not, oh, I kind of know what's happening here. This should return something, but
Mhm.
really to that true confidence is going to come from true competence. So get confident. No one's special. You can do it too.
Oh, for sure. Looking back, did your sales background actually hurt or help you?
Again, another good question. Both. It helped because I have great tenacity. I mean, rigorous training. I'm not afraid to train. I mean, I'm always the type of person to just keep going, keep going. I'm quick to adapt. It doesn't take me much to adapt, which helped come from sales. But also, it did hurt too because I would overthink the process. Sometimes things are just as simple as they are. And then in my brain, I'm thinking, it's not that simple. There's no way. There's this, there's that, and I'm overcomplicating the process. That's just because in sales, you have to, most of the time, if I ask a question, I should just about know what is going to be said and how to either combat that or overcome that or move forward from that, whichever the case it may be. So, in a way, most ways it did help, but in other ways, small ways, it did hinder because I'm overthinking processes and like, oh, well, what about this and what about that? And that goes with this when it's just like, bro, it's just that. That's it.
Simple. And you got to find the quickest way to A to B. Like I always think about KISS, keep it stupid simple. You know what I mean? All right, next question. What was the hardest part of this whole process for you?
Staying committed to it. I would say that was the hardest part because just like everyone, I'm not sure about everyone else, but don't get shiny object syndrome. Where you're going to see a lot of boot camps. You're going to see a lot of people say, "Hey, don't worry about this got deprecated. This is the new thing, AI." So really staying committed, true to the path of true competency is was the hardest part. Really taking it a step at a time, going through. For example, when I didn't have to do this, but I did it because like to this day I still know it. I went through all of the methods for JS. I went to the MDN. It went through each and every one for me to understand what are these things doing so I know where to plug and play and what to use when I need to use it. That was the hardest part because it is a long process. It is something that does take grit. It is something that you're not going to understand on the first go. There's going to be times where you're going to have problems that take that method you may be looking at, but you have to think of it differently because there's something else before that. So I would say that was for me the hardest part was, going on the path of I call it the path of true competence. So that was the hardest part, staying committed to that,
For sure.
not just using AI.
Glad you did. And I think coding, I think helps you in a lot of other aspects of life, as in like how to break down a problem, and it gives you another point of view. You know what I mean? So it could help you in other things in life.
I hate that. And I just don't think I feel like that's something that's not really a light really shined upon too much.
Mm.
Just because that's all it is. It's a lot of reverse engineering, just a lot of problem solving. And once you can understand that, those are I call them core concept skills that you can take anywhere, like anywhere. Doesn't matter where you are. You can be a mechanic, you can work on houses, whichever the case it may be. You know how to break down a problem in such a way I call it to the ridiculous, then and you know how to reverse engineer it to get to the outcome you want to happen, then
Mhm.
by God, man, that's unfathomable. A lot of people just cannot do that in now this day of age. Unfortunately, it's sad to say. So that's
For
a
sure.
very big aspect of that.
Mhm. So when did you realize this was actually working? Was there a specific moment?
I realized it when I was creating my exercise app, my first one. And I actually seen what was when I was writing it, and I could break down everything into a section to say, okay, this is what's doing this, and I can write that out. This is what's going to happen. This is from now when you click this button, this is supposed to happen. I can write that out, and I can connect everything together, saving things to either a local host or to a database, whichever. That is when I really knew and understood. I'm like, man, okay, this is actually paying off. I'm not AIing, I'm not doing none of that. I can sit here, sit in a coffee shop, enjoy, this may not be everyone's taste, but enjoy my nitro and just hammer out some lines of code, man, and just get it done. And then see the result at the end. That's when I'm like, man, and I had something to show someone. And if it broke, I could fix it like right there on the spot. So that is what really,
That's awesome.
I was like, man, this is awesome. I love this.
All right. So, uh, tell me about getting that first offer and what was that experience like?
So I do want to say my offer is a little different because I have a very big sales background. It does kind of siphon in both of the software and sales. So when I got the offer, that first offer, it was not easy. I'm gonna be honest, none of this was easy. I did about 300, which I still think is on the low end, believe it or not, about 325 applications. Out of that, got about 25 to 30 interviews. Somewhere, I mean, we're talking first round, second round, multiple round interviews. And then from there, that's when I got between 5 and 7 offers, pretty good offers. Most of them were mainly sales focused, but I was looking something to utilize my skill set that I just learned because as we all know, if you don't use it, you lose it. So and that's I was blessed to find a role like that where it is sales focused, but I am still able to create different tools, give things. It's almost to a degree of a solutions engineering role. I want to call it that, but it just doesn't have the title. But anyway, I'm still able to code. I'm still able to sell because I'm great with people. Always will be. I have a very dynamic sales background, and sprinkling this on top just makes my job better, makes my job easier, makes my team job easier, makes the director's job easier, and that's what gets you to stay in the company. It doesn't get you fired, and it shows that you can wear multiple hats and you can adapt very quickly, which will keep you in the company for the long run. So, God forbid anything does happen, you're not the first to go.
So, what makes this your dream job and what's different about your life now?
So it really makes it my dream job. For one, uncapped commissions, can't stress that enough. That's one. Two is really the fact that I'm able to use a skill set that I just learned, and
Mhm.
I can use it to an extent on a daily basis. And I can build things that actually help people. People can tell me what they're looking for. I can talk to, excuse me, I can talk to our customers and they can tell me, hey, it would be nice to see this, it would be nice to see that. And I can be able to say, hey, we need this feature. And without having to put the extra stress on other engineers, I can either do the work myself or have it structured out in the way to make it easier for the engineers. So that is something that, and once again, the pay is there. And so that's what really Miss said, told me, like, man, this is it. This is the job.
For sure.
I'm good. I'm not gonna say I like, sun is always shining, but I don't need to go find something else. I don't need to go work two, three, four, 5 jobs. I don't need to go do all this extra stuff. If I want to, that's, cream on the crop. But other than that, this is a good enough job to put food on the table and something I can see myself excelling in due time.
Awesome. Here's a good question. So, if you had to do it over again, would you?
If I had to, I would say of course. I mean, to be very honest with you, yeah, of course. I don't see why not.
Mhm.
But I do it different. What I do it differently, I don't see really any other way to do it. Anything you do, you work hard at. Anything you do, if it's something you care about and you actually want to understand it and get good, you're going to put time into it. When I did mechanics, took all my time to do mechanics when I used to work on houses. Same thing. Roofing, same thing. Sales, same thing, so you kind of see the same pattern. You work hard, you put a lot, I want to say as much time into it as possible. You break it down to the ridiculous so that you understand it to become competent. And then you go out there and you fail and you keep failing until you succeed. And I wouldn't really change that at all for nothing. So, yes, but no.
Dude, for sure. I'm gonna use that from now on, I'm gonna break it down to the ridiculous. I'm gonna use that down. Use it all the time. What would you tell someone who's sitting where you were in February?
First things first, don't be emotional. Understand exactly where you are and where you want to be. And from there, just literally break it down. From there, okay, this is where you are. Where are you at? If you have money, if you need money, whichever the case, how much do you need? Cool. What's your next step? And from there, analyze that next step and start moving towards that next step. I tell this to my brother all the time. Do not do something that is not conclusive to the next thing you're going to do. If you want to get into software engineering, okay, cool. And you don't know how to do it, such as myself. First thing you need to do is find a mentor. Find someone who you can learn from. Even if you don't got the money, there's always someone you can learn from in some sort of way, shape, or fashion. You can make it happen. I'm trying to tell you. And after that, understand that thing. I mean, you need to be almost, I don't want to say be the best of the best, cream of the crow, but you need to be able to explain it and understand it so that you know how to read it, so that you are competent enough to go get, let's say, a job, to go get the job. Once you get the job, because the game's not over there, once you get the job, you need to become a master at interviewing. Once again, we're just going to go the software engineering route. If that's your case, you need to get good at interviewing, know how to interview, make sure you are almost unbeatable at the interview. So now, no matter the job market, you're going to be fine. And then from there, you need to learn how to excel, because just because you got the job doesn't mean the game's over. That's just someone giving you a shot. Now you need to know how to excel at that thing. Once you excel, now you need to know how to keep your job and move forward, become a senior dev, become a manager. If that, once again, this is your case, and if you just want to learn the skill and apply it to something else, take those same principles from that and apply it to that, to your next thing. So if you're in my boat, dude, I say really identify where you're at and where you want to be, and just work relentlessly towards that, because no one else is going to get it for you other than yourself, and you can get it yourself if you keep chipping at it, man. So that's what I gotta say. You do so much volume that there's no reason why you fail.
Jay's story speaks for itself. Sometimes the biggest barrier isn't capability, it's just knowing what actually works and having the support to stick with it. If you're curious about exploring a similar path, feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching. And remember, if Jay can do it, you can do it too. Coding saves lives.